Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here again with all of you in the congregation of the UU Church here in Columbia, and those of you who are listening to this broadcast in other parts of Missouri and other places. And it's good to be back. First, I want to say thank you to the Reverend Molly House-Gordon, who is the pastor here, for letting this old country boy come back, and to the board. And it's good to be with my friend, Jeff. I have to tell you, and I'm not going to be, if you're wondering how long I'm going to be, I'm just about through right now. With my friend, Jeff, I had to write my Christian conservative friends and tell them how wonderful it was to share a worship, a pagan and a Christian working together in the worship and worshiping well together. What a marvelous experience that was over the summer as the sabbatical interim. And before that and since that, Jeff and I have grown to be very good friends. And so I appreciate him being our worship leader today. Living as if. We are living in a very crazy world, huh? Alice in Wonderland comes to mind as she's falling down the rabbit hole and says, things just get curiouser and curiouser. It's a crazy world. It's a world filled with violence. Those of you who live in Columbia know that we used to think about violence in Columbia in little pockets, in places in the First Ward, over by Douglas Park, this place, that place, but not downtown. And yet in the last few weeks and months and even the year, we're seeing more and more violence in places we did not anticipate. And fear has begun to haunt us. Ta-Nehisi Coates in Between the World and Me talks about how fear can grab you and hold you and entrap you, and fear of all kinds, fear of loss of employment, fear of loss of income, fear of illness, fear. Grapple us and hold us to the ground. It is a time in which people treat us as if we are invisible. I've been reading and have read and now reading over Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man. Forgive the technical difficulty. We live in a world where if something can go wrong, it will. Oh well, we're still here. Let me press on. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, April, for getting us back together. I left off talking about that if we're going to live, we have to make a decision. We have to decide whether we're going to live by faith and courage or whether or not we're going to live by pessimism and despair. Yes, there are challenges all around us. Yes, there's craziness everywhere, but we have to make up our mind whether faith will lead us and courage shall lead us, or whether we shall fall into the depths of despair, cynicism, and pessimism. I challenge us to live as if, one, the beloved community can be realized. Those of you who are Unitarian Universalists, you have been confronted now with the awesome possibility of an eighth principle, a principle that talks succinctly about social justice, about creating a beloved community, about overcoming racism, sexism, homophobia, an eighth principle. And the question is that, is it about words? We've heard about the beloved community for a long time. Remember, Martin even talked about that the beloved community will look like folk who are judged by their character, the content of their character, and not by the color of their skin. But I just reminded you that colorism is back. That colorism is making us judge one another based on the hue and the colors of our skins. Can the beloved community be actually realized? The great Immanuel Kant talked about the beloved community in a way that doesn't use those words, but you get the picture. He called it the kingdom of ends. And in the kingdom of ends, everyone tells one another always the truth. And the second thing is everyone treats everyone else as an end in themselves, as important in themselves, and not as a means to an end. Can we realize it's a conceptual reality for Kant? It's a conceptual reality for many. I want to take this moment to suggest that we can make it an actual reality, a beloved community where we find ourselves interdependent and loving, affirming one another. Let me do this very quickly. I asked my ethics class one day, I said, do you believe that one of these days we can get over the schisms and that we can get past racism and sexism and homophobia and ageism and all the other isms that divide us? And the students almost unanimously said, no. Courage, faith, hope in a beloved community that can be realized. Number two, let me hurry, is that what we do, that we should live as if what we do can and will make a difference. Not to be seen or be known. Well, Jeff and I, right before we came on and we talked about hypocrisy, right? That you all know that I grew up Christian, that I have a commitment to Christianity. I am a theist. And Jeff reminded me of a song that Christian folks sing. We are one in the spirit, we are one in the Lord, and they'll know we are Christian by our love. I want to extend that, ladies and gentlemen. I want to suggest that where is it in the Christian community where they will know we are Christian by our love? Because currently they know we are Christian by our hatred. They know we are Christian by our appeals to power, and they know we are Christian by the fact that we'll judge one another instead of trying to affirm one another. But I'll even extend it. I was saying to Jeff, I've known Muslims all my life, and I'm watching Muslim community divided between Shia and Sunni kill one another. How about this one? How about so-called intellectuals who no longer have time for those who may not be as educated, may not be as smart, but have an open and a real heart? Listen, we got to get to a point, friends, beloved ones, that we believe that what we do will and can make a difference. I grew up with a song that goes, if I can help somebody along the way, then my living will not be in vain. And not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. When I smile, when I speak, when I pay ahead, when I lift up someone, when I stand with someone who's sick, when I hold the hand of somebody dying, when I put my arm around a kid that's so bad they call him Baby's kid, when I put myself in the position of helping somebody along the way, it makes a difference. Number 3, we ought to live as if we have the victory. I'm tired of hearing folks say, well, we'll try, but I had a chairperson one time at a school where I was teaching. The dean made an awful mistake. I was in my classroom and I had my mask, but it was down a little bit because, as you all know, and thank you for your love and compassion, my wife and I had COVID last November, and I still have some problems sometimes breathing. And I was trying to get some air, and as you can see, I pulled my mask, and the dean walked by in the hallway and yelled in my classroom, "Put that mask on. Who do you think you are?" I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Now, you know, I'm not a field Negro. You can't stand in the hallway and yell at me like that. April, Hans, I'm worthy of something, at least respect. And I said to this person, you can't do that. And then I went on to say, if I had been white, you would not have yelled at me like that in front of my class. But because of what I look like, you thought you had license to do it. And it got back to my chair, and the chair said to me, watch this, "I don't know what it's like to be Black, but," and as soon as he said "but," the conversation for me was over. We have to act like, in spite of how folk treat us, in spite of how folk act around us, we have to act like we have the victory. We have to act like that not only what we do matters, but we already have the power in our hand. We have to act like we have the victory. There's a song, another song, because you know, in the little church I grew up in, they loved to sing, and they would sing, "Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine." I know they're shooting downtown, but victory is mine. I realize that Mr. Trump is trying to make a reappearance, but victory is mine. I realize that still sexism and racism and homophobia is a real phenomenon, but victory is ours. That no one you ever promised that the victory will be quick, for the race is not given to the swift, but to those who endure to the end. And so let me leave you, because our time is almost over. And if I'm going to live, I'm going to live if trouble won't last always. If I've decided, will somebody say amen with me, that we've made up our mind that if we're going to live, we're going to live as if that the race is not given to the swift, but that those who endure. If we're going to live, let us live as if that right will overcome might, and that our labor is not in vain. And if we're going to live, let us live so that our ancestors, our ultimate reality, our neighbors, our friends, our children, and generations to come will say, well done, well done. Amen. Let it be so.